You know exactly what I'm talking about. That gnawing feeling, the one that tightens in your chest when the market dips, when a project you poured your soul into hits a snag, or when a casual remark from a colleague lands with the weight of judgment. It's the whisper of doubt, the echo of scarcity, the insistent drumbeat of not enough. We live in a world that bombards us with messages of acquisition, of relentless striving for more money, more status, more possessions. The digital scroll is a constant siren song, showcasing curated lives of seemingly effortless abundance. Each image a subtle prod, a reminder of what we lack. And we, caught in this relentless current, often find ourselves reacting, scrambling, chasing. We try to control the uncontrollable, to bend the chaotic winds of fortune to our will, only to be battered by their unpredictability. We believe that true security lies in the accumulation of external wealth, in the tangible proof of our success, mistaking the shadow for the substance. This pursuit, this desperate attempt to grasp and hold on to things that are inherently transient, leaves us feeling exposed, vulnerable, and perpetually anxious. It's a treadmill, isn't it? The faster you run, the more you realize how little ground you're actually covering. The goalposts keep moving, and the pressure to keep up, to win in this external game, becomes overwhelming. But what if the real game isn't played out there, in the volatile arena of markets and opinions, but within the quiet, unassailable citadel of your own mind? What if the true measure of wealth isn't found in the size of your portfolio, but in the strength of your inner economy? This is where the ancient wisdom of the Stoics, often dismissed as relics of a bygone era, begins to reveal its startling relevance to our modern struggles. They understood, centuries ago, that the external world is a tempest, a ceaseless flux of events beyond our direct command. They recognize the futility of anchoring our peace and prosperity to things that can be swept away in an instant: wealth, reputation, even health. Instead, they turn their gaze inward to the one domain where true sovereignty resides: our own judgment, our own will, our own character. This isn't about detachment from reality, nor is it a passive resignation to fate. Far from it. It's about a radical reorientation, a strategic shift in focus from the external to the internal, from what happens to us to how we respond to what happens. It's about understanding that while we may not be able to control the storm, we can absolutely control the ship. We can learn to steer with a steady hand, to navigate the choppy waters with resilience, and to emerge in the tempest not broken, but strengthened, refined, and profoundly self-possessed. This journey we're embarking on is not about acquiring more, but about understanding what truly matters, about cultivating an inner abundance that no external force can diminish. It's about forging an unshakable inner fortress, a place of enduring calm and clarity, from which we can face any challenge, any setback, any perceived lack, with quiet confidence and unwavering resolve. We will explore this path, not through abstract philosophy alone, but through the lens of our everyday lives. We'll confront the familiar sting of criticism, the insidious creep of envy, the paralyzing fear of loss. We'll see how the ancient Stoics, men who faced war, political upheaval, and personal tragedy, develop principles that offer a potent antidote to the anxieties of our hyperconnected, consumer-driven age. This is an invitation to move beyond the constant craving, beyond the exhausting cycle of desire and disappointment. It's an opportunity to discover a deeper, more sustainable form of wealth, the wealth of mind at peace, a spirit unburdened, and a life lived with intention and integrity. The foundations of this enduring prosperity are not built on shifting sands, but on the bedrock of an indomitable spirit, a spirit that understands where true control lies and embraces the power of reasoned action in a world that often celebrates impulsive reaction. This is the start of that transformation, the first step towards reclaiming your inner sovereignty. The initial impulse, when faced with perceived slight or an unforeseen setback, is often a visceral urge to lash out, to defend our position, to correct the perceived injustice. Think about that moment in a team meeting when your meticulously crafted proposal is met with a dismissive wave of the hand, or a colleague offers a thinly veiled jab disguised as a joke. The immediate sting of humiliation or frustration is palpable. The mind races, conjuring eloquent retorts, rehearsing triumphant rebuttals. This is a primal reaction, the ego's immediate defense mechanism, wired for survival and social standing. It's the frantic scrambling to control the narrative, to force external validation, to ensure that others see our worth, our competence, our rightness. This ingrained habit, however, is a siren call to a shipwreck of emotional turmoil. It's the pursuit of an illusion, the illusion that we can or should dictate the opinions and actions of others. Consider the subtle art of the backhanded compliment, or the casual dismissal that chips away at confidence. These are not always malicious acts, though they can be. More often, they are reflections of the other person's own insecurities, their own internal struggles, their own limited perspective. When we allow these external pronouncements to penetrate our defenses, we are, in essence, handing over the reins of our inner peace. We are allowing someone else's fleeting thought, their momentary mood, to dictate the quality of our day, our week, our very sense of self-worth. This is the core of external dependence, the belief that our value is contingent upon approval or disapproval of those around us. It's a precarious foundation built on the shifting sands of human subjectivity. Now, shift your perspective. Imagine yourself not as a victim of these external forces, but as an observer. When that dismissive gesture is made, instead of feeling the personal slight, recognize it as a data point about the other person. Their reaction reveals more about their internal state than it does about the objective merit of your proposal. This isn't about excusing their behavior, but about understanding its source and, crucially, its limited scope. The Stoics would remind us that we have dominion only over our own thoughts and actions. The opinions of others are, to borrow a phrase, indifferents, things that have no bearing on our virtue or our happiness. By detaching our emotional response from their judgment, we reclaim a significant portion of our power. This requires a deliberate practice, a conscious effort to interrupt the automatic, reactive cycle. It's about cultivating a mental pause, a moment of deliberate reflection before responding. Instead of rehearsing a sharp retort, one might ask, what is truly happening here? What is within my control and what is not? The simple shift in inquiry can be profoundly liberating. It moves us from a position of defensiveness to one of strategic observation. Consider the financial advisor who, when faced with a panicked client demanding immediate liquidation due to a market downturn, doesn't mirror the panic, but calmly explains a long-term strategy. Their calm demeanor, their reasoned response, is not a denial of the client's fear, but an acknowledgement of it, coupled with an unwavering focus on what is rational and controllable, the investment plan itself, not the daily market fluctuations. This is the essence of applying Stoic principles to navigate not just social interactions, but also the often turbulent waters of financial management. The internal narrative, the constant dialogue we have with ourselves, often becomes a fertile ground for anxiety, particularly when it concerns our financial standing. We replay past missteps, envisioning worst-case scenarios with cinematic clarity. That investment that underperformed, the impulsive purchase that now feels like a burden, the missed opportunity that haunts our thoughts. These become fodder for a self-defeating script. This mental rehearsal of failure fuels a deep-seated fear of scarcity, a pervasive sense that our resources are perpetually on the brink of depletion. It's as if we're constantly standing at the edge of a precipice, one wrong move away from financial ruin. This internal monologue, unchecked, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping our decisions and ultimately limiting our potential for genuine abundance. Building on this, however, consider profound impact of reframing these internal narratives. Instead of dwelling on the what-ifs of failure, we can consciously choose to examine past decisions through the lens of learning and growth. That underperforming investment, it wasn't a catastrophic error, but a valuable lesson in due diligence and risk assessment. The impulsive purchase, it was an exercise in understanding our triggers for emotional spending, a data point for future self-discipline. By reinterpreting setbacks not as indictments of our character or competence, but as opportunity for refinement, we dismantle the power of scarcity-driven fear. This cognitive shift transforms the internal critic into a wise mentor, guiding us toward more informed choices. Furthermore, this proactive recalibration of our internal dialogue directly impacts our outward actions in the financial realm. When we operate from a place of perceived scarcity, driven by fear, we tend to make decisions that are short-sighted and risk-averse, often missing opportunities for growth. We might hoard resources unnecessarily, avoid calculated risks that could yield significant returns, or become overly attached to assets, making it difficult to divest when circumstances warrant. Conversely, when we cultivate an inner sense of abundance, rooted in the understanding that our true wealth lies in our capacity to reason, adapt, and learn, our financial decisions become more strategic and courageous. We are more inclined to invest in our education, to pursue ventures that align with our values, and to manage our resources with a long-term perspective, rather than reacting to immediate market pressures or perceived threats. Another crucial layer is the Stoic concept of premeditatio malorum, the contemplation of future misfortunes. This isn't about inviting disaster, but about mentally preparing for the inevitable ups and downs of life. When applied to finances, it means acknowledging that market fluctuations, unexpected expenses, and even job instability are not anomalies, but predictable elements of the human experience. By contemplating these possibilities in a calm, reasoned manner, if my income were to decrease by 20%, how would I adjust my budget? If a significant unexpected expense arose, what emergency funds are available, or what assets could be liquidated strategically? We build resilience. This mental preparedness significantly reduces the shock and panic when such events actually occur. It transforms potential crisis into a manageable challenge because the groundwork for a reasoned response has already been laid. This practice inoculates us against the paralyzing fear of scarcity, fostering a sense of preparedness and control over our reactions, even when external circumstances are less than ideal. The true mastery of wealth, as understood through a Stoic lens, transcends a mere accumulation of assets. It delves into cultivation of virtue as the ultimate form of prosperity. This isn't about acquiring riches for the sake of possessions, but about understanding how wealth can be a tool or, conversely, a trap, depending on our inner disposition. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly returned to the idea that true good resides in the rational and moral character of an individual, not in external circumstances. Therefore, when we consider financial wealth, we must ask, does it serve to amplify our virtue, or does it become an impediment to it? Does it encourage generosity, discipline, and wisdom, or does it foster greed, idleness, and folly? This distinction is paramount. A man can be impoverished in spirit while possessing vast fortunes, and conversely, a man of limited means can be immensely wealthy in character and inner peace. Consequently, the Stoic approach to wealth is less about how much one has, and more about how one uses what one has. It's about recognizing that wealth itself is morally neutral. It is our judgment and our actions concerning it that imbue it with positive or negative value. Consider the entrepreneur who, having achieved significant financial success, dedicates a substantial portion of their profits to philanthropic endeavors that address systemic issues, rather than simply indulging in personal luxury. This individual is not merely a wealthy person. They are a virtuous person wielding wealth as an instrument of good. Their financial success amplifies their capacity for generosity and their ability to effect positive change, thus demonstrating a higher form of wealth, the wealth of purpose and contribution. Conversely, someone who amasses a fortune but becomes consumed by avarice, constantly fearing its loss and neglecting their relationships and personal growth, is, in a very real sense, impoverished. Their wealth has become a gilded cage, restricting their freedom and diminishing their spirit. Furthermore, this perspective shifts the focus from an endless pursuit of more to a mindful appreciation of enough. The Stoics advocated for a life of moderation, understanding that excessive desires are the primary source of human suffering. When applied to finances, this means cultivating contentment with what is sufficient for a virtuous and comfortable life, rather than chasing an ever-receding horizon of infinite accumulation. This isn't about asceticism for its own sake, but about recognizing that true satisfaction comes not from the quantity of possessions, but from the quality of one's character and the richness of one's experiences. Imagine the individual who, having achieved a comfortable level of financial security, chooses to prioritize time with family, personal learning, and community involvement over the relentless pursuit of ever larger financial gains. They understand that the opportunity cost of endless accumulation is often the very richness of life that wealth is supposed to enable. This summit, this ability to define and adhere to a standard of enough, is a hallmark of true financial wisdom and inner prosperity. Building on this, the Stoic ideal of indifference toward external possessions is crucial. This doesn't mean a lack of care or responsibility, but rather an emotional detachment from the outcome of our financial endeavors. We can and should work diligently, plan prudently, and manage our resources responsibly. However, we must also cultivate the understanding that wealth, like health or reputation, is ultimately outside of our complete control. Market forces, economic shifts, unforeseen circumstances, these can all impact our financial situation irrespective of our best efforts. The Stoic embraces this reality, focusing their energy on the process, the diligent work, the ethical conduct, the wise decisions, rather than becoming emotionally enslaved to the result. This allows for a profound sense of freedom. When we are not emotionally dependent on a specific financial outcome, we can approach our work with greater clarity, creativity, and resilience. We can weather financial storms without being capsized by despair, and we can enjoy periods of prosperity without succumbing to arrogance or complacency. This cultivated indifference liberates us from the tyranny of external validation and allows us to define our success based on our own inner standards of virtue and contribution. The path to true financial resilience is paved with an understanding of the present moment. We often find ourselves mentally adrift, either lamenting past financial misjudgments or anxiously projecting future uncertainties. This constant temporal displacement leaves us ill-equipped to handle the immediate realities of our financial lives. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasize the power residing solely in our present perceptions and intentions. When we are fully present, we can assess our current resources with clarity, identify immediate needs without succumbing to desire, and make decisions grounded in observable facts rather than speculative anxieties. Think about managing a household budget. It's not about agonizing over last month's overspending or fretting about potential future inflation. It's about looking at the bills due today, the groceries needed now, the immediate spending patterns. This focused attention on the here and now is the bedrock upon which sound financial management is built. It's a tangible application of focusing on what is within our control, our current actions and judgments. This grounding in the present moment directly combats the corrosive effects of comparison, a ubiquitous feature of our hyperconnected world. Social media, in particular, presents a curated highlight reel of others' financial successes, fostering a sense of inadequacy and fueling a desire to keep up. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we can more effectively resist this insidious trap. When you're fully engaged in your current task, whether it's analyzing a business opportunity, reviewing your investment portfolio, or simply planning your weekly expenditures, the external comparisons lose their power. Your focus shifts from what others appear to have to what you are actively doing and achieving right now. Consider the craftsman meticulously working on a piece of furniture. Their attention is entirely on the grain of the wood, the angle of the chisel, the precise fit of a joint. They are not distracted by the polished antiques displayed in a nearby gallery. Their mastery is expressed in the present act of creation. Similarly, financial discipline is best exercised when we are fully immersed in our current financial reality, making informed choices based on our immediate circumstances and long-term plans, unswayed by the illusory portrayals of others' perceived fortunes. Moreover, embracing the present moment allows us to cultivate a more robust form of gratitude, which is itself a powerful accumulator of inner wealth. When we are not constantly yearning for a future state of having enough or regretting past financial missteps, we can more readily appreciate the resources and opportunities we currently possess. This doesn't imply complacency, but rather a conscious recognition of our existing abundance, however modest it may seem. A simple daily practice of acknowledging 3 things you are financially grateful for, perhaps a stable income, a debt-free asset, or even the knowledge gained from a past financial mistake, can fundamentally alter your perspective. This shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, rooted in present appreciation, is profoundly empowering. It fosters contentment and reduces the impulsive behaviors often driven by a feeling of lack. Imagine a gardener tending to their plants. They don't lament the seeds not yet sprouted or the flowers not yet bloomed. They nurture what is currently growing, appreciating the green shoots and the developing buds, knowing that consistent care will yield future abundance. This present-focused nurturing of our financial well-being, coupled with gratitude for what we have, builds a resilient foundation that external market shifts cannot easily erode. It's about recognizing that true prosperity is not a destination to be reached, but a state of being cultivated in the here and now. The Stoic path illuminates the critical distinction between external validation and internal affirmation. We are often conditioned to seek approval from the outside, a promotion, a favorable review, the envious glance of a peer. This outward gaze, however, renders us vulnerable. When our sense of worth is tied to the opinions of others, we become perpetual supplicants, our emotional equilibrium dependent on fluctuating external judgments. True financial security, therefore, isn't about accumulating trophies that impress others. It's about cultivating a deep-seated self-respect that arises from living in accordance with one's own principles. Consider the seasoned investor who, after rigorous due diligence, decides against a highly publicized, speculative venture that promises immense, albeit risky, returns. They might face skepticism from peers, or even criticism from those who equate caution with timidity. Yet, their decision stems not from a fear of missing out, but from a clear understanding of their own risk tolerance, their long-term objectives, and their ethical boundaries. Their internal affirmation, the knowledge that they acted prudently and aligned with their values, provides a more stable and enduring foundation than any fleeting external accolade could offer. This quiet confidence, this self-reliance born of reasoned principle, is a form of wealth that cannot be taxed or devalued. Building upon this, the Stoic practice of virtue signaling, not in the modern, often pejorative sense, but in the ancient meaning of acting virtuously as a primary indicator of a life well lived, offers a powerful framework for financial decision-making. When faced with financial choice, the Stoic asks, what is the most courageous, just temperate, and wise course of action? This ethical compass, rather than potential profit margin, guides a decision. Imagine a small business owner presented with an opportunity to cut corners on product quality to significantly boost short-term profits. The temptation for external validation, the increased revenue, the perceived success is strong. However, adhering to Stoic principles means prioritizing integrity. The affirmation derived from knowing one has produced a high-quality product, treated employees fairly, and operated with honesty far outweighs the ephemeral glow of inflated quarterly earnings. This commitment to ethical conduct, even at a perceived financial cost, builds a reputation and a sense of self-worth that are far more resilient than any market fluctuation. It's about building a financial legacy that reflects character, not just capital. Furthermore, the Stoic understanding of preferred indifference provides a nuanced perspective on wealth. Wealth, like health or social standing, is classified as a preferred indifferent, something desirable in itself, but not essential for happiness or virtue. This means we can actively pursue financial well-being and prudent management without becoming emotionally attached to the outcome. The key lies in the intention and the execution. Consider the individual who diligently saves and invests not out of greed or a desperate need for security, but out of a desire to create opportunities for their family, to support causes they believe in, and to maintain a degree of freedom and autonomy in their life. They recognize that while financial stability is beneficial, their ultimate well-being is not contingent upon it. This balanced perspective allows for proactive financial planning, without the crippling anxiety that often accompanies the pursuit of wealth. It's the difference between building a sturdy ship for a journey and obsessively polishing its brass fittings while ignoring the approaching storm. The focus remains on the seaworthiness, the responsible management and ethical use of resources, rather than on the superficial gleam of external success. This cultivated detachment from the ultimate outcome frees one to act rationally and decisively, unburdened by the fear of loss or the arrogance of gain. Reflecting on this journey so far, we've navigated the turbulent currents of external pressures and the intricate landscapes of our own minds. We've seen how the relentless pursuit of validation can become an anchor, dragging us down into a sea of perpetual anxiety, while the quiet cultivation of inner resilience offers a buoyancy that defies the harshest storms. The echoes of ancient wisdom, once distant, now resonate with undeniable clarity, illuminating the path from reactive chaos to deliberate control. It's as if we've been examining the intricate gears and levers of a complex mechanism, understanding how each component interacts, how the smallest adjustment can alter the entire operation. The interplay between our perceptions, our judgments, and our subsequent actions has been laid bare, revealing profound truth. The most significant battles, and indeed the most profound victories, are waged within. In light of these insights, the path forward, though demanding of conscious effort, unfolds with discernible logic. The scattered fragment of our experiences, the moment of frustration, and the glimmers of understanding begin to coalesce into a more coherent picture. We are not merely passive recipients of life's circumstances. We are architects of our internal reality. This realization shifts the very foundation of how we perceive not just wealth, but our capacity to engage with the world. It's akin to a cartographer, having studied various terrains and celestial markers, finally able to chart a course with newfound confidence, no longer relying on chance, but guided by a comprehensive understanding of the landscape and the tools at their disposal. The principles we've explored are not isolated concepts, but interconnected elements of a holistic approach to well-being, a framework for navigating the complexities of modern existence with greater equanimity and purpose. As we pivot toward the final reflection, consider the cumulative effect of these interwoven threads. The initial impulse to react, the deep-seated fears, the external dependencies, these begin to recede, not through suppression, but through profound reorientation of focus. We are moving from a position of perceived limitation towards an expansive understanding of our inherent capabilities. This transition is not about acquiring new external resources, but about unlocking the latent potential that resides within. It is a quiet dawn after a long night, where a familiar world is seen anew, bathed in the clear, steady light of reason and self-awareness. The journey has been one of uncovering, of peeling back the layers of conditioned response to reveal the enduring strength that lies at our core. This transformative journey, from the anxious chase of external validation to the serene mastery of our inner landscape, culminates not in a final destination, but in a profound awakening. We have glimpsed a profound truth that true wealth is not a quantity we possess, but quality we cultivate, an unshakable inner prosperity forged in the crucible of reasoned action and unwavering self-awareness. The clamor of the world, with its incessant demands and fleeting promises, fades into a gentle hum when we anchor ourselves in the unassailable citadel of our own minds. The storms of life, though inevitable, lose their power to capsize us when we learn and navigate with the steady hand of Stoic wisdom. We have seen that the sting of criticism can be blunted by the shield of self-respect, that the gnawing fear of scarcity can be dissolved by the practice of present-moment gratitude, and that the illusory allure of external approval can be replaced by the quiet affirmation of living virtuously. This is not about detachment from reality, but about a more profound engagement with it, an engagement grounded in what is truly within our dominion, our thoughts, our judgments, and our responses. The legacy we build, therefore, is not measured in accumulating digits or fleeting accolades, but in the enduring strength of our character and the tranquility of our spirit. It is in the quiet confidence of knowing that, regardless of external fortunes, our inner citadel remains secure, a sanctuary of peace and resilience. This is the enduring prosperity that no market crash can touch, no envious glance can diminish. It is a quiet power of self-possession, the ultimate freedom found not in controlling the world, but in mastering oneself. The principles we have explored are not merely theoretical constructs. They are practical tools, honed over millennia, ready to be wielded in the arena of everyday life. They offer a blueprint for navigating the inevitable challenges with grace, for transforming perceived setbacks into opportunities for growth, and for cultivating a deep, abiding sense of contentment that transcends material circumstances. The true practice begins now. It is in the small, deliberate choices we make each day, the pause before reacting, the conscious redirection of anxious thoughts, the commitment to acting with